Good evening and welcome to Diagnosis Health. I'm your host, Paul Peshanietz. On tonight's episode, we speak with Dr. Susan Block from the Trobe University's Communication Clinic. Dr. Sue Block, welcome to Diagnosis Health.
Thank you, Paul.
Now, Sue, you specialise in stuttering. Could you please probably explain to us at home what actually is stuttering and what actually causes stuttering?
Well, stuttering is a problem where somebody knows what they want to say, but at the moment that they go to talk, they actually can't get the words out. So they might repeat sounds or words, or they might get stuck. And some good examples of getting stuck were what the King did in the film The King's Speech. But stuttering can affect people in different ways. Some people who stutter would never be heard to stutter because they're just quiet. They are not going to use words they might think they have trouble with, so they avoid those, etc. But the person knows exactly what they want to say. So, Paul, they have no problem generating language, using their brain to think about what they're going to say. The problem comes when they need to actually produce the speech. So we think something happens between generating the thought in their brain and coordinating their tongue, their teeth, their lips to talk. And probably it's something to do with motor coordination. And motor coordination only for talking.
Okay.
We also know that they can do other motor tasks very, very well. And one of the really frustrating things about stuttering is that it can be inconsistent. Sometimes they might be very fluent, and sometimes they'll trip up and have what they might call a really bad day. Now, the causes for stuttering have been proposed as being all sorts of things, and there are lots and lots of old wives' tales about stuttering.
Okay.
But generally we believe that it is has a neurological basis. Many people who stutter inherit a predisposition to stutter.
Okay.
And one of the problems is that as people grow into adulthood stuttering, they can become more and more worried about talking. They can avoid talking. They can become highly anxious about going into social situations. So it can start perhaps as something that's got a neurological predisposition, and then it becomes something that becomes a disorder that is linked to anxiety and psychological reactions because of the impact of the stuttering. Okay.
Now, so you did mention The King's Speech, a very popular movie at this particular time, where King George VI was known to be a stutterer, and tells a story about how a speech therapist at the time, we call him speech pathologists now, how he was able to manage the King's stuttering problem before making that famous sort of speech going to war, what have you. Could you perhaps tell us about the different techniques or how speech pathologists actually manage stuttering?
Well, we try and keep it as simple as possible. And with young children who are stuttering, we show the parents how to react to fluency and then how to manage stuttering.
Okay.
So for littlies, we try and make treatment fun. It's done in a play context, and we teach the parents what to do. We don't actually tell children to talk in a particular way.
Okay.
But as somebody gets older, the treatment becomes more and more complex.
Okay.
So once you get to older adolescence or adulthood, you generally need to learn to talk again. You need to retrain your motor system so that you'll be able to talk smoothly and easily and hopefully prevent the stuttering from occurring.
Okay.
Now, at the same time, treatments nowadays are incorporating more and more work helping school-age children, adults, manage how they feel about stuttering because of the anxiety they experience, and also, of course, what happens is as children get to school, often they're teased and bullied about stuttering.
Yeah.
But the treatment can vary for different ages, and also depending on what the person does when they stutter and what they want to do with their speech.
Okay, brilliant. Now, at La Trobe University's Communication Clinic, you guys not only just deal with stuttering, but various other speech problems. Could you tell us a little bit more about the other types of speech problems that you may come across?
Sure. We deal with a range of speech problems here, and this is a very special clinic because this is a student training clinic. Most people who come to our clinic would come to be treated by supervised speech pathology students, or they'd come for research projects that we might do.
Yep.
We work with stuttering across the lifespan.
Sure.
We work with young children who might not be developing clear speech, so they have problems with their sounds. We work with children who are not developing language as you would expect, so they might be a little bit delayed with their language,
Sure.
or a little bit slower, or it's not developing normally.
Yeah.
We work with children who are having learning problems at school. We have programs for people with reading problems, children with learning and reading problems.
Yeah.
We also do work with people with voice problems. We have a big clinic for people who need to change their voices because they lose their voices, or they've got some sort of a voice disorder. Sometimes people have their larynx removed if they've had cancer or maybe a car accident. And we spend a lot of time working with people with voice, and we also see people with a range of other speech problems.
Okay, brilliant. Dr. Sue Block, thank you very much for coming on Diagnosis Health.
You're very welcome, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's all for tonight's episode of Diagnosis Health. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm your host, Paul Beschlitz.